Okay, so this is going to be a video review of this MiLESEEY laser measure. We're going to go through a load of the features. This is what you get in the box. It does include batteries, which is nice, but obviously when you're spending £160 on something, you'd probably expect that kind of little additional comfort. So I'm going to be comparing this in this review to my existing laser measure, which is a much more basic device, and we'll talk about all the different advantages of this over this and whether or not it's worth paying the extra. So first up, what you get? Well, you get this nice case here with a USB-C cable in it, USB-A to C, that plugs in here, and you can use that cable there to recharge these batteries here. These are the batteries that are provided. They are rechargeable batteries, and it's nice that they're just basic rechargeable batteries, because that means when they wear out, you can very, very simply replace them. Just plug the cable in there to recharge the batteries. Obviously, don't put disposable batteries in here if you're going to recharge it. But again, if you were caught out on site and you needed, you didn't have any charge, you didn't have any way of charging, but you had disposable batteries, it would work with those as well. The app can connect to this via Bluetooth. It's really very, very simple to use, and all you need to do is connect it. Once downloaded, it's the Smart Life app. I already had the Smart Life app installed from a set of Wi-Fi plugs I already had. It controls all sorts of different things, so it's a bit of a one-stop shop. It's quite a good app to actually have if you get a lot of this kind of stuff. Anyway, as soon as you decide on a measurement, so let's say I'm going to measure something from the other side of the room, just over there. Okay, let's just measure by the window. Let's see if you can see. There we go. It's just measured that 2.5 meters or 2.347 meters away, and it's instantly recorded that in the app. So you've got it recorded here as well as here, because again, it records and memorizes the measurements on here, but you might not want to be getting this out all the time to go back and look over your measurements. So it's good to have a record of the measurements you've done. You can add a little note there if you want to, so that could be, for example, distance from wall to window or something like that. Whatever your explanation is, whatever your measurement is. Now, the camera option I thought would be a little bit of a gimmick. The further away something is, the more useful this camera option actually is. Obviously I'm in a room here, so there we go, there's a fan over there. So if I want to measure the fan, you can see the laser dot is being shown on the fan in real life, but it's also in the crosshairs just there. And I can take a quick picture, and there we go. There we go, 2.7 meters away. Okay. As you get further and further and further away, and the laser dot gets harder and harder to see, the crosshair there becomes really, really helpful. So I was measuring out yesterday over a much wider area. When you get to distances of 50, 60, 70 meters, you can't see the laser dot, or I couldn't see the laser dot. But the camera really helped to pinpoint exactly what I was pointing at. So the camera feature is much better than you might think, particularly if you're measuring over longer distances. For shorter distances, like anything under about 20 meters, I would say it's not so useful, it's not so important, because you can see the laser dot, you can see exactly where it is. But as soon as the laser dot becomes more difficult to see, that camera becomes a real godsend. Okay, what else to say? Well, you might be able to see here, and just on here, it actually has a built-in level, like a spirit level kind of thing. So you get an exact inclination there. You get exact to, to a tenth of a degree, exactly what kind of inclination you're using. In addition, the tripod mount here means you can get extremely accurate measurements. Really, really accurate measurements. That's fantastic and really, really very, very useful. Has a lot of other standard features, such as calculating, here we go, if I go up and down, area, volume, that kind of thing. No problem at all. Inclination, there's so much that you can calculate using this. Very, very helpful, but I'm not going to go into that now because that's all in the listing, I believe. But it is helpful to have that right there and then. You also get a load of different options that are navigated through this up and down button. I would have really liked to have seen a back button, because it's a bit tricky to know exactly how to go back. It's the power button. Okay, the power button is the back button. something good to know that I didn't notice in the instructions, but maybe it is in there. And obviously long pressing instructions to turn on and off. But now something really important. Why would you want this over something like this? This will calculate measurement, and to be honest, it calculates direct measurement almost as accurately as this one. The difference is absolutely minimal. We're talking fractions of centimeters different, which, you know, is what these are obviously designed to do. But at the same time, you might think, why would I be spending £160 on something like this when I can spend £30 on something like this? Well, this is very, very basic. You can see the spirit levels here, which is very different from the degree of accuracy you've got there. It's just all about accuracy, features, additional abilities to measure over longer distances or more accurately over shorter distances. Let me give you some examples. Tripod mount. It's obviously standard, very, very expected. Cheaper one just doesn't have it. Okay. The camera for going over longer distances, which of course this can do. This only goes up to 50 meters. This one here, 100 meters, no problem. The camera makes a huge difference, particularly at those longer distances. In fact, all the features in there, the ability to connect Bluetooth to the app was really, really helpful, because again, you know, you want to store all these measurements. This does store measurements, but it stores more on the device, of course. So if you want to get to those measurements, you have to flick through them, and it doesn't record a note with them, so you don't know what each measurement is. You just have to remember. This one here, you can store everything on the device, but you can also transmit it to the app and store it with a note. So you've got a record of all the features, all the measurements you've taken, and crucially, what they were, when they were. Okay, you can store obviously dates with them, locations, anything you want with them. There's just so many different additional features, and it's solid, it's robust, it feels great, it feels really, really solid. This obviously feels a lot cheaper, because it is a lot cheaper. So why would you get this if you need those features or you want those features? Why would you get this if you want a basic laser measure? That's the difference, okay? That's a pocket calculator, that's a smartphone. That's the kind of distance you're talking about. There's so much flexibility with this. It's worth it if you are doing this in any way professionally. But if you just need an A to B, something cheaper will suffice. Okay? Do I recommend this? If you've got a need for it, it's great. It's definitely recommended. If you've got the need for it, then absolutely.
Di ricarica USB tipo C, ma vediamo insieme al nostro metro laser. Esteticamente molto simile a tanti altri già provati, anche se dà una sensazione di robustezza superiore. Tasti gommati, ma vediamo assieme le caratteristiche. Lo andiamo a accendere. Innanzitutto possiamo notare subito un buon display luminoso. Abbiamo i tasti. Il primo tasto ci dà la possibilità di entrare nella selezione delle misure che possiamo fare, come area, ipotenusa, volumi, eccetera. Ci dà tante possibilità, ma sono specifiche caratteristiche che ho trovato anche su altri metri laser più economici. Usciamo da questa funzionalità, entriamo nel menu delle impostazioni, che sono veramente tante. Qua comincia a differenziarsi rispetto a altri metri laser. Ad esempio abbiamo il Bluetooth, poi vi farò vedere a cosa serve, e abbiamo la possibilità di selezionare, ovviamente ci spostiamo tramite i tasti più o meno, abbiamo la possibilità di selezionare ad esempio l'unità di misura, abbiamo la possibilità di scegliere da dove far partire la misura, se da qui, dal centro o dalla testa, ma anche questo lo abbiamo trovato su altri metri laser anche economici. Poi abbiamo la funzionalità di rotazione del display automatico. Questa comincia a essere una funzione che in precedenza non ho mai trovato. Faccio vedere quando è attiva. Abbiamo visto che ci aveva voluto un attimino di tempo, però il display si gira e funziona come lo stiamo utilizzando. Ritorniamo nelle nostre impostazioni, ce ne sono altre che non sto a dirvi, ad esempio il display con scritte nere su display bianco o viceversa, tastini con rumore o senza, e qui ad esempio un'altra funzionalità mai trovata prima, una bolla a 360 gradi, come potete vedere. Generalmente sui metri laser economici troviamo delle bolle, le classiche bolle ad aria. Sicuramente la funzione più importante, che non è un fine a se stessa, ma è veramente utile, è sicuramente la presenza di una telecamera. Come sappiamo, questi metri laser generalmente hanno una portata di 50-100 metri, ma quando siamo alla luce del sole, se avete già avuto modo di provare un metro laser, il puntino rosso del laser, quando siamo già a una distanza di 15-20 metri, cominciamo a perderlo, non lo vediamo più, quindi diventa quasi inutilizzabile. La presenza di una telecamera invece ci permette di, con un mirino digitale e una risoluzione 2x, una zoom 2x, ci permette davvero di arrivare a tutti i 100 metri della portata di questo laser. Sì, sicuramente la funzione telecamera l'ho apprezzata veramente tanto tanto tanto, e è quella che forse giustifica il prezzo elevato di questo prodotto. Non dimenticare il fatto che è anche IP65, quindi può essere utilizzato tranquillamente all'aperto anche in condizioni meteorologiche un po' avverse, tipo pioggia o vento con polvere, eccetera. Funziona con 3 batterie mini stilo forniti in dotazione, che sono anche ricaricabili tramite appunto il cavo USB di tipo C in dotazione. Vi dicevo appunto la presenza del Bluetooth, a cosa serve il Bluetooth? Con il Bluetooth su questo prodotto permette di connetterci al nostro smartphone, e che tramite applicazione gratuita scaricabile ci dà alcune possibilità che ora vi faccio un attimino vedere. Ecco, come dicevo, l'applicazione è questa qua, Smart Life, la dovremo aprire. Possiamo ad esempio andare a disegnare un tracciato a piacimento, tipo in questo modo, magari disegnare la nostra stanza che dobbiamo andare a misurare. Andiamo a selezionare ad esempio un lato, effettuiamo la misura con il nostro metro laser. Come vedete, in automatico appare la misura. Andiamo a selezionare poi l'altro lato che andiamo a misurare. In automatico viene trasmessa, misuriamo ancora l'altro lato e così via dicendo. Oltre a disegnare un tracciato e applicargli le misurazioni effettuate, possiamo anche addirittura andare a farlo direttamente su una fotografia. In questo modo andiamo qui, selezioniamo foto, prendo la fotografia che io ho già scattato, ad esempio questa qui, vado a posizionare il nostro cursore, voglio rilevare l'altezza della stanza, più o meno solo per farvelo vedere, seleziono l'altezza, effettuo la misurazione, come vedete compare l'altezza della stanza. Molto carina l'applicazione, sì, è un di più che magari non utilizzeremo mai, comunque c'è, e è quello che fa la differenza fra questo metro semi professionale con quelli hobbistici provati in precedenza. Io ve lo consiglio. Ciao a tutti.
Voilà. Et comme ça permet de voir où est-ce que vous pointez votre laser. Et de retrouver votre laser ici. Là, il s'éclaire. Il est capable de prendre la mesure. Alors là, je suis sur une surface brillante. Hein. Donc il me sort une erreur 255. C'est pas assez réflectif. Je vais me mettre sur le mur plus loin là-bas. Je ne sais pas si on va le voir. Voilà. Ici, ça devrait marcher de façon impeccable. Je suis sur un poteau en béton. Je prends ma mesure, 9 mètres et 7 cm. C'est instantané. Voyez. Donc la caméra est vraiment un vrai plus sur ce genre de produit parce que ça vous permet de voir exactement le point que vous visez. C'est vraiment top.
Bueno.